Well, that wasn't very fun, was it? 43 to 34. I'm not totally shocked that it was a game that had that many points scored, but I mean, I came in to the season and to this game expecting, it's going to be a bumpy ride this game the whole year with the defense, particularly the secondary, and the nightmare scenario sure as fuck played out today because that was, I mean, it was domination. I hate to say that Aaron Rodgers just dominated my favorite team, but he did, and it could have been more than 43 points. Like early on they kind of stopped them a couple times down there. They had an actual goal line stand. They stopped them for a field goal and then a goal line stand. They only got 3 points out of 2 trips deep in the red zone. It could have been way worse than 43 points in total. They had a couple drop passes, and Rodgers overthrew one or two passes. So this could have been just. I mean, this could have been easily a 50 burger. It's rough. I mean, it's expected that there's going to be struggles with this defense and particularly the secondary, especially when you don't have Hunter. I mean, the pass rush really, really struggled. Obviously, there's the ever-present issue when you play the Packers that they won't call holding ever. But even beyond that, they created no pressure. I don't believe they got a sack. And they really only put him on the ground even once or twice. So it was just, I mean, he just had all day to sit back there and pick apart a bunch of cornerbacks who don't have much experience and in a couple cases are rookies. And, this was kind of the nightmare. The hope was that, even when there's some major struggles on defense, that the offense can keep up. I'm not sure how to approach what the offense did today because they ended up scoring 34 points. Some of that was garbage time, not all of it. Some of it was legit. I know everyone's going to rip on Kirk saying, all he does is put up stats in garbage time. No, really only the last touchdown was garbage time. They were still trying to get back in the game at that point. But the first half was just absurd with time of possession. For the game, the Vikings didn't even have the ball for 20 minutes total. The whole game, they didn't have the ball for 20 minutes and they scored 34 points. That's hard to do. But it's like it was good at first. Like the game started very well on offense. Their first drive, really nice mix of run and pass. Kirk got out of the pocket a little bit. Hit Thielen a couple times, and then they got in the end zone with Cook. And it's like, okay, so even when Green Bay's going back down the field again, it's like, well, okay, this is going to be kind of a shootout, but we got the tools. But then right after the goal line stand, I don't know what the fuck, Gary Kubiak. I got some questions for you, man. What the fuck was the thought behind calling from like the 2 or 3 yard line a play action pass with a deep drop back for Kirk? That's insane. Like that's a risky play anywhere on the field, but certainly in the shadow of your own fucking end zone. And they blitzed the safety. He wasn't picked up, and Kirk had no chance. He was safetied. They punted it back, held him to a field goal again, but it was 8-7, and they never had the lead again. Man. And then it was like, so it was 8-7 then. They had a bad drive where, I think I forget, I don't have the play chart in front of me, but it was like I think it might have been a 3 and out. Punt it back, give up a touchdown. Then they got the ball with like 39 seconds left or something. And it's funny, every time, year after year, when the Vikings get in that position where they've got the ball, maybe don't have too much time, maybe they got timeouts, maybe not, and they kind of play conservative instead of it, all the fans do is bitch and moan about it. Well, guess what? Now, today, you got an example of why sometimes that's the better way to do it. Because Kirk made a bad throw. He made a bad throw. It was a bad decision and a bad throw. It got picked off, and then Rodgers hits a touchdown with like 20 seconds left, and boom, like it's gone from 8-7 to 22-7, and you've only run a couple offensive plays. Like just like that, you're just in a deep hole. Now they actually got a couple passes and got a field goal. So you go into halftime, you're thinking, okay, it's 22-10, but you're getting the ball, and you can certainly move the ball. Hell, they've made big comebacks against Green Bay the last 2 years. Once in a tie and once in the game in Lambeau last year that they lost. But they just never got. They didn't get it going again right away in the second half, and they had to because the defense was already gassed, and they weren't playing well even when they weren't gassed. So, it kind of just went from bad to worse. They were able to do enough on offense to kind of keep it somewhat alive for a comeback, but you can't make a comeback when your defense is just gassed and terrible. And this was horrific on defense today. It was just everything. Like they couldn't cover. They really couldn't stop the run. They couldn't stay the fuck on sides. I don't know what did they have, like 4 times where they jumped off sides, and a couple of those gave them a free first down. Like, you can't do that shit. That's got nothing to do with lack of preseason game time and practice time. Just stay the fuck on sides. What the hell are you doing? That was just the infuriating part. I mean, there's no good side to anything on defense today other than the goal line stand. But even that was like immediately negated by the safety. So the one good thing your defense did was immediately turn into a negative. On offense, they have to be more consistent, certainly. I mean, the offensive line was not great. I mean, Brian O'Neill was terrible. I've never seen Brian O'Neill get beat so bad. Part of it was, though, they weren't on the fucking field. Like, you can't get in any sort of rhythm when you're not on the field. And they weren't on the field, I don't know what it was in the first half. I think it was like 8 minutes in the first half, and it was only like, I think, 18 something for the game. You can't do that because it's suicidal. I mean, like with Kubiak, I don't know. There was another play then. I forget what the score was at the time, where it's 4th and 3. They're at like 39 of Green Bay. Get out of here, bug. And they're going for it, and I absolutely go for it at that point. I think they were down. That was when I think they were down 2 scores at the time, and like, you just got to get the first down. And they call a play where Kirk heaves one deep down the right side for Tajay freaking Sharp, and it falls incomplete. And then Green Bay goes down, and I assume they scored because they basically scored every time. I think they only punted maybe once in the whole game. So I don't know. It's fucking frustrating. I mean, because I'm not shocked that they would lose this game, and I'm not shocked that there would be sloppy play on both sides. A lot of missed tackles. That was part of what was keeping Green Bay on the field a lot, especially in the first half, was they couldn't get off the field because they couldn't tackle. They're blowing tackles, and so Green Bay's constantly got these 3rd and shorts and 2nd and shorts, and it's easy at that point. Like, it limits what Zimmer could even call on defense. But it's the first time they've given up over 40 since the infamous Ponder start on the short week on a Thursday way back in 2014. So, I mean, the fans are leaping off the ledge, because they were leaping off the ledge by the end of the first quarter. But I'm not leaping off the ledge because I'm not that type of fan. But it's I expected there to be certainly a lot of growing pains with this defense. I did not expect it to be quite this bad right away. And frankly, I don't think it will be this bad going forward. I mean, it does make a big difference when you have no game action. You don't have many practices, like fully padded practices. You don't have the off season that you usually have. It's like, Green Bay had a lot more continuity in the off season, and that, I'm sure, made a big difference. The Vikings had a lot of turnover, and that's just, it's going to be bumpy, and unfortunately it's going to maybe be even bumpier than I thought. But it's not going to be 43 points every week. I mean, and look, I fucking hate the guy, but Rodgers was just pinpoint on everything today. I mean, he was, that was, I've grudgingly admitted many times that I think Rodgers is even better than Brady ever was, and we certainly saw that today. But we also saw a team with no pass rush and a super inexperienced secondary that was way in over its head, and no turnovers, and then they got gassed. You want to try to make a comeback in the second half, but it was hopeless because the defense that was already getting shredded was now also gassed, and they just had nothing left. So, it was just depressing. And then, they can't get off the field. They're just bleeding the clock out. They're just bleeding you dry there. It's frustrating, but and obviously it's frustrating to lose to the Packers even in a home game. And even that was worse than I thought it would be too. Was the lack of fans. I mean, just the vibe. I ended up listening on the radio more than listening to the TV broadcast, but it was just, there was no energy. It was just very, it was not entertaining. I mean, maybe if you reverse the score, I think it was a great game, but it's rough, man. A home crowd would have made some difference today. I don't know that makes the difference between winning and losing, but it certainly would have helped. But we're not off the ledge. We don't need to be off the ledge yet. I mean, I didn't expect this team to even win the division, so I'm not jumping off the ledge. But I mean, obviously the negativity from a certain segment of the fans who always want everybody fired and released after one game is, so that'll be turned up to 11 all week. And so next week it's at the Colts, who got beat by Jacksonville. Figure that shit out. I thought Jacksonville might win one game all year. Maybe that's the one, but of course, and Washington beat Philly, so I don't know. It's weird. There's definitely going to be some weird results this season, but basically this was a stinker. Worst game they've played on defense in many, many years. And, it's got to get better, because if it doesn't get better, I think there are going to be many, many games where Cousins in the offense is more efficient and smoother than they were today. And they'll be in the 30s in scoring frequently, I think. But, it's one of those things, if you got to be every week, you're going to be in trouble. So, all right. It always sucks to lose to the Packers. Now we're 0-3 against LaFleur and 0-4 against Nagy. So we don't have a win yet against the coaches from our two top rivals. But hopefully that'll change. But I mean, hopefully this won't kind of devolve into a rebuilding year. I thought, okay, they're going to definitely still contend for the playoffs, and I still think they can. It's never going to be this bad from defense. It's just not. And hopefully things get smoother now when there's more game action. I think kind of just league wide, after you get a few weeks in, the play is going to improve league wide, and then I think we'll know a little more about who's good, who's not. Because I don't think Jacksonville and Washington are going to the playoffs. But so rough one today. We will persevere and get back at it for the Colts next week.